All right, well, good morning. On behalf of Commissioner Candelaria, myself, Commissioner Urtela is down in Arizona right now getting an update on the procedure that he had done. He's doing well. Shaq, our administrator, and John, the county attorney, we welcome you here. First thing on the agenda is the minutes. Commissioner Candelaria, you had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yes, sir, I have, and I would move that we accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners of Montezuma County, November 10th, 2020.
Second, there's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Montezuma County Board of Commissioners for the November 10th, 2020 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second thing on the agenda is going to be the county administrator's report. Mr. Powers.
Yep, mine's going to be real short this week. First of all, it's State Recycling Week, so I'll give a shout out to the landfill crew and all the work they do down there sorting and getting our recyclable materials out. They are taking their materials for recycling once again, so if you have cardboard, office paper, number 1 or number 2 plastics, aluminum and tin separated, you can take that down to the landfill. Had a meeting yesterday with the Rural Jumpstart Committee with the Office of Economic Development and International Trade and Region 9, and talked about how to recruit businesses from out of state. So we'll be taking a look at some of those things as we're able to do so. Other than that, that's all of my report for this week.
All right, thank you, Mr. Powers. We'll go to planning with Mr. Haley, which is the planning director, and Jane, assistant director. 2 items on the planning agenda, it looks like.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Don.
So for item number 1 on the resolution for abandoning a section of Road G, we need to continue that to next week at 9 a.m. There's a discrepancy in the 2 legal descriptions between the existing property line and the legal description on that road right-of-way from 1998. So Ernie Manus is going to take a look at it and close the loop there on that gap between the 2. So we'll get that. We just found out about it last night, so we'll get that resolved and bring it back to you next Tuesday.
I just found out about it an hour ago.
Sorry. The legal descriptions don't match from the north or the south or something, or?
Between north and south, yeah, there's a gap in there.
And Don, there's nobody here, I don't think, or on Zoom, is there for Jovian or
No.
CDOT or
No.
whoever the loves
No,
people are?
nobody's
Okay.
having issue with it. It's just a matter of getting the legals to match up.
Just procedurally, we were scheduled for today, and they could be here today to hear that we were continuing it if they wanted to be, if they can inquire from you. But we're not sending them re-notice because today was the date we sent them notice for.
Right. And I've had no contact from either party.
Okay,
So, other than from the engineer on the surveying discrepancy. So we'll get that resolved and continue it to next week.
Okay.
The next item we have is a resolution to adopt the changes, amend the land use code. And that resolution will be number 21-2020. And that would be per the changes that have been posted on the website and discussed over the last, we've had three or 4 months.
what does Mr. Powers have pulled up? Is that the red line or is that the clean new version?
I've got both versions. You can look at whatever you want.
Let's just scroll through them for the public.
So that's just the summation of the changes. And then that other document, Shaq, is the whole code that's redlined.
And again, this has all been posted online as well. If you don't read this fast, but we're scrolling.
You don't read this fast?
We're scrolling through it at a pace that you should be able to read.
We need Evelyn Wood here.
I mean, it's only like 90-something pages. We could sit, I mean, we could be here till 11 o'clock scrolling through
We haven't
this.
had any other concerns or issues.
I've
or
had
anything.
no
I've
comments,
had
no
comments,
questions,
no
phone calls or anything.
So what we basically agreed upon moving forward, I think that
That's what you have in
seems to
front
be
of you.
okay. All of the hot topic or things that we needed more research, basically we took off of the table, so.
Correct.
That's right.
Okay, so
There's nothing in chapter 4, Shaq, and a lot of it's in chapter 5
okay,
and then chapter 9. So you can fly through 4.
okay. Right, and basically, a 90-page document, we're gonna scroll through here because we don't wanna spend the time to read a 90-page document. The version that was compressed, which were the items that we had talked about, have been on the website posted for several days, so we're all within compliance of the regulations of posting.
We usually read or display resolutions we're adopting, so
So we are
we're
displaying
displaying
this.
it.
We're just gonna.
And it's been displayed online for 2 weeks, and it's still there if anybody wants to go look at it.
And that is the red line version.
Correct.
Well, Shaq's finger's getting to work out.
It's my trigger finger too. Might need
And
it
as soon as
strong.
we display it, then we can.
That's been on the county's main webpage as well as on our public portal. It's posted under documents.
It actually is on the new website, much easier to find. I do thank our IT department. I've been looking at the new website, navigating around it. It is easier, it is better.
Mhm.
So it was much easier to find.
Correct.
Do they have a signature page? Did you give them a signature
I've got it
page?
right here.
I have it right here.
No, it should be the same.
You know,
I have it, Don, right
I think the signature page he tweaked, or maybe that is the same one. We just cleaned up the signature page a little bit, and
Okay, so with that, after the displaying of the changes to the land use code, then I would move that we approve resolution number 21, 2020, a resolution amending resolutions numbers 2-98, 12-2000, 4-2002, 10-2003, 17-2003, 13-2004, 4-2006, 11-2007, 7-2008, 12-2009, 9-2010, and 2012-6 and 3-2015 of the Montezuma County Land Use Code.
There's a second. There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 21-2020, a resolution amending the resolutions just stated by Commissioner Candelaria. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anything else?
That's it for today.
That's all we got. Just want to remind everybody that we have advertised for a planning and zoning commissioner alternate position. That notice is on the website as well as the application to go along with it, and asking for a letter of interest. And the deadline for those are to be in our office by 4 o'clock on December 1st.
Okay. All right.
Have you set up interviews for those?
We have not.
Or do you have a tentative date for us?
We have not had a response yet. And the public notice was in last Wednesday's paper. It'll be in the paper again tomorrow. I'm assuming that we probably can do interviews the week of the 7th.
Okay,
Sounds good.
very good. Have you also, our PIO, make sure that we post that also on our Facebook site? Okay? Thank you.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you, guys. go to public comment. If there's anybody that would like to comment, if you'd come up to the podium and state your name and address.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name's Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21, Lewis, Colorado. My public comment is just on all the information that's out there on our election and the software issues. I don't know if the county commissioners have been in full contact with others across the state to see what's going on with the state audit for elections in Colorado. I'm pretty sure Montezuma County, I think things are moving along the way they should, but as far as discussion with clerk and yourself, I just wanted to know if there was any group discussion with the county commissioners on issues, irregularities in the state of Colorado.
So I have not participated in any discussions with fellow commissioners throughout the state about that.
Alan, is your mic on?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21 in Lewis, Colorado. So my question was in regard to the elections and the software problems across the country, and whether or not the county commissioners had been in contact with others within the state to see what kind of possible irregularities that there may have been. I know that on the ballot, some initiatives, some of the wolf issue, the late-term abortion, there were some close votes on some of those, and so those were things that maybe could be in question across the state. Those are just a couple examples, so I just wanted to know if commissioners were, and/or then I know the county clerks are pretty well keeping in contact with one another as they see that. So maybe that's fair enough, but if there's are needs for discussions, I think that would be appropriate if possible. So
Have you had any?
Every conversation and Zoom call that I've been on is focused on one thing and one thing only, and it is not. It hasn't been anything to do with voter irregularities.
okay, so I know probably the biggie on the forefront is the COVID issues and what can be done there. So I appreciate what county commissioners here in Montezuma County are offering the local community. So that's
I
been
can
good.
bring up a personal experience, though, that I experienced. Do you remember when we started Dominion with Wayne?
Wayne Williams?
Yeah, Wayne Williams. Was that 2 or 3 years ago? Was that 3 years ago, I think?
3 years ago, I believe.
3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I participated. I was the vice chair of public lands, and the meeting was in Los Angeles at their convention center. And there was this company called Dominion that rented it's a huge bar, and it's where they play pianos, dueling pianos, and it's right across and it's big, really big. And it's right across the street from the convention center in LA. And there was over 3,000 county commissioners that was at that meeting, that convention. And they rented that whole bar, Dominion did, and they spent, I can't imagine how much money they spent on free drinks and all of that. And the whole purpose of that was to try to get county commissioners to persuade their states and different to use Dominion. And lo and behold, 3 years later, this is what we have.
Right. Well, whether it's tinfoil hat or whatever, but the more information that's coming out, seeming that Dominion could be manipulated, that's just the concern that I was wanting to put out there. And so having
So
this.
can I address that?
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know where we're at. We actually held our risk limiting audit round 1 yesterday. And that's where we're required to take ballots that have been turned into us and tabulated. And we have a team of election judges that verify that the votes on the ballot actually match what was tabulated. And we got 100% on round 1.
Okay.
Just to let you guys know.
Very good.
That's where we're at.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Anybody else like to speak at public comment? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment and we will go to a liquor license renewal of Maverick with Jerry Fritzell. There she is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a liquor license renewal for Maverick Store number 275 at 10223 US Highway 491 in Cortez. And there's been no, from the sheriff's thing, we got a clear statement from this county with no problems with them.
All right. Anything, John?
Did you get it?
County,
You know, I did
county
notice something.
sheriff is here, so, I mean, these are all okay. When they get here, they're all been investigated and looked at and
Yep.
everything's good, okay.
So,
Something that's interesting, though, is I noticed yesterday that that Maverick was closed temporarily.
that's what I was told too, that they had closed down. But, and I was told it's that, but somebody drove by yesterday, said there was 15 cars in the parking lot too, so I don't know.
And commissioners, and Commissioner Sukla might remember this, but maybe for Commissioner Candelaria's sake, when people apply for a new liquor license, you all have a lot more discretion and leeway in making a determination. When somebody's applying for a renewal, you don't have a lot of discretion. We do background checks of them. If they have been in trouble in the past, then we maybe should discuss. But otherwise, it's essentially a rubber stamp when they're applying for renewals, so long as they haven't been in trouble.
Good.
And we
Alright.
do check with the sheriff's office every time anybody's for renewals. And then the new liquor license, they have to go through the fingerprints and everything. These guys came back clean. Oh, and then I also have you to sign a liquor license for Log Cabin. Their original
Oh,
liquor
over in
license.
Minnicus?
Yeah. It's been previous done here, but I just got from the state, so the regular liquor license needs signed by you guys.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
So I guess that I would move that we accept the liquor license renewal for Maverick located at 10223 US Highway 491, Cortez, Colorado.
Second, there's a motion and a second to approve the renewal of the liquor license for Maverick Inc., located at 10223 US Highway 491, located in Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll get those signed for you. What is the
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Jerry.
you, Jerry.
Okay, we'll go on to public safety with our sheriff, Steve Nallett.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jack, John, Kim.
Good morning, Sheriff.
See if I can connect.
I tell you what was amazing was the very next day after the fire ban was released, there was a lot of smoke in this.
Oh, yes, sir. Even again this morning. Even again this morning. Let me see if I can find where we're at here. There we go.
I haven't seen this before.
It's new.
Connected. Ta-da. All right. Technology. Okay. I'll just start off with, we'll give you what the calls for service were for the month of October is 1,387. Remember, those have been reduced as far as not opening up a number of business inspections and extra patrols to help reduce the CAD entries for dispatch services. Largest is that we've had 227 traffic contacts just in the month of October. 38 different security checks to businesses and residences. Livestock at large, because livestock's being moved now, we're seeing an increase of livestock on the road that have been stragglers left behind, and been no issues with that. We did have one incident just about a week ago with a livestock owner and a motor vehicle up on Highway 145 that resulted in a traffic summons being issued to the driver.
Sorry. Sorry, Sheriff. Go ahead. Boy, I'd sure like to shut that off. Okay.
Anyway, we still are dealing with a lot of property disputes and domestic violence calls and sex assault on children. So, and neglect calls. We're keeping up, and we're actually filing a lot of charges in these cases. So we're doing pretty well keeping up with a lot of the incidents. Moving into the jail of what we had as far as the month of October. Once it wakes up on me here. There we go. For our jail transports and whatnot, we have we're reducing now the number of transports because of writs and everything, because of the COVID incidents shutting down a lot of the local jails, especially the Department of Corrections. There's no sign that the Department of Corrections will accept any more inmates for some time now, both male and female. We thought we were going to lose a female, and she was due to go out last Saturday morning, and they shut that down. So we're stuck with these inmates serving their sentences in the county jail from DOC. But as you can see, we had 14 transports for adults in the month of October. That next month, when you see the month of November, you'll see a vast reduction in that. Costs so far, we've been doing pretty well as far as our transport costs. For a total for this year, it's only $1,063, which has really helped quite a bit with that. However, when this pandemic ends, I'm sure that's going to shoot back up next year. This is our inmate count. We have a total of 68 in the jail today, which is down from last month. As you can see, the highest number of days and whatnot, 86.
Can I respond with that?
And they're in and out. So just this next page will show you the breakdown. For example, just on the 1st of October, 1 arrest and 6 releases, and this goes back and forth pretty much every day. Like on the 20th, we had 8 arrests and 9 releases, so they're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. And that's what's caused a big problem with the spike in the COVID-19 positive cases here in the county, is that a week ago I had to shut the jail off again for accepting local arrestees other than Class 1 through Class 3 felonies, sex assaults against both adults and children arrests, as well as domestic violence and those mandatory arrests of protection orders with domestic violence enhancers, mainly because we only have 7 holding cells. And when those holding cells are full, I have no place to put people that have been quarantined. They have to be isolated for a period of days before we can move them into population. So that coming in and out, we just have no place to put them safely. And that's what's been protecting our facility ever since this thing started, is having those in place. The chief judge also agrees with that. He released an order They're shutting down the courts to jury trials and very limited income or intake coming into the facility. We are still handling a lot of the mandatory arrests, either by video arraignment or in person. It's up to the defendant and the judges. If they want them into court, we'll take them in. So with misdemeanor warrants and whatnot, they've been actually going in and turning themselves into the court. The warrant is quashed and a new court date is set for them. So it kind of pushes it back down the road again, like what we did in April. But we did play a big catch-up just a couple months ago and got a lot of those through, but we're right back at it again. I'm hoping that by the 10th of December, we'll be able to open the facility back up again. We're starting to get a lot of those cleaned out, so we'll take it a step at a time, just like we did before. It's working. For the city of Cortez, you can see the number of inmates that they had and how many days. The longest was 4 for a couple of them. They've been billed for $1,650 for $75 a day. That's 22 days there. This will be Dolores County. They had just 1 arrest in October, 2 days. They were billed $150 for the month of October.
Steve, while you're scrolling down there, I think I heard you say that the Department of Corrections won't take your inmates even after they're sentenced. Is that correct?
No, the 10th date is when we're going to open up the facility again, the detention center here, back to taking in stages those arrests that come in. Because we're starting to open up some of our holding cells. 3 of the cells had to be held for a period of 14 days, mainly because of positive COVID arrestees, and of course the suicide watches that come with that apparently. Seems like those that get it, that's what they want to do, is to say that they're going to harm themselves. So having them down in the holding cells is twofold because of the COVID positive that they have until they test negative after 14 to 15 days. So that's starting to open up a little bit more.
Sheriff, I think what we're, sorry to interrupt you, I think what we're kind of seeking information on is whether or not the coronavirus is preventing us from getting people out of our jail to like a state facility, and if that's the case, perhaps we might seek funding to get reimbursed
for holding their
that,
prisoners.
for holding
There you
people
go.
and charge them for that. So I think that's what we were inquiring about.
Yeah.
And this is mostly from the DOC, correct?
That's right, and that's what's up on the screen now.
Which the DOC is the one that pays us the 50.
Right, they're not accepting
57.
anybody.
Versus
Anyone.
75.
Across the state, they're not accepting
So-
anyone. So we have a total of 89 days just in the month of October. Now wait until the end of this month and you're going to start seeing that those days are going to be more. But then again, you know, our state legislators have said that all the thing that we can get reimbursed for is $57.97. So there we go. Okay, they're serving their sentences in the county jail for their state sentences right now until they can be transferred back to DOC where they should go, so we can free up our beds. And we'll start to see this list probably increase because there's a lot more convictions coming down the pike. So these numbers will increase. And so, as you can see, one inmate has been in there for 27 days just in the month of October from the day he was sentenced. So that's going to increase, okay?
This
And
is
you
a
know,
never-ending
I don't know if
problem.
we have a solution for that, to be honest with you. Don, I don't know what else to do. We can't just kick them out.
Oh, right. Well, the legislature could make them pay us what our costs are. But I think temporarily, right now, because of the situation, we should see if we can get funding from elsewhere.
agree.
Because of coronavirus is the
Yes.
purported reason that we're holding these people so long.
And you know, with supposedly some of these state fundings and whatnot that are coming out to assist for the impact of the coronavirus. I don't know why that can't be, this can't be included in that. I
Right.
agree with you. I really think that they should. They need to pay more than what they're paying.
There's a deadline on that. It's December 10th?
On the CARES Act,
No, that's a 31st.
December 30th.
Or
Okay.
30th.
31st is a holiday.
Yeah.
Still a real day.
There's nothing real at the state.
I don't know how to interpret that.
So, This is-
Including solutions. There's no real solutions at the state.
yeah.
All these people are asking the government to stop the virus, realizing that the state can't even keep drugs and weapons out of their prison. They're not going to keep a virus out of your life.
Mhm. That's true, and I'll tell you what, though, I don't know what a lot of the DOC facilities have, but I'll tell you that ever since I put in that body scanner, we have not had any introductions of any controlled substances in that facility. That has been the best thing that has ever happened.
I rest my case. Local authorities better than the state.
Or the virus. I mean, either the sheriff is getting very lucky or doing an excellent job of keeping the virus out of our jail.
I think luck has something to do with it, just because it's hard to defend against something you can't see. That's been the biggest hurdle to come over. And I know that it's not well received when I have to cut back on allowing arrestees into the jail, but you have to look at the big picture and the safety of our staff and the rest of those inmates that we're responsible for in our care at that time. It's the right thing to do at that time until we can clear up those holding cells so that we can start taking people in. And as you see, a lot of them that come in are out within 1 to 3 days. They're in and out. They're in and out. So we don't move those into population other than the more serious felony charges. Then they move into population because their cases generally go on for a longer period of time before it's ever comes to a conclusion. So that makes sense? Okay. But we will take, and always will, the most serious criminal actions against a person. That's why we make those decisions to accept those people. We're not going to leave them out in the community at all. So the total amount of money that was brought into the Treasury Department was $55,551.93 in the month of October. We had a communications, a dispatch center meeting with all of the users and the dispatch center itself, which includes all of these people that you see here, or all of these agencies that you see here on the left. The Cortez Police Department, of course, the Sheriff's Office, Mancos Marshal's Office, Southwest Memorial Ambulance, Cortez Fire, Mesa Verde National Park, Dolores County Sheriff's Office, Dolores Fire Department, Lewis Areola, Mancos, and Pleasant View Fire Departments. These are all the users of the Cortez Dispatch Center. And this is what our totals are for our calls for service just for a year. And as you can see, we're about 40% of the entire use, mainly because when we got close to 20,000, just shy of 20,000 calls for service in a year that we're dealing with in that dispatch center, there it is. The thing is, though, is that this calculates into what our dispatch fees are going to be for that next year. I have a big heartache and problem with this because we have asked as a users group for an audit, a standalone audit of the dispatch center services so that we can have a better understanding of what is charged to the users and what that is all about. We were told that they can't do a standalone audit right now, the city of Cortez, because they're already in an audit period right now. So I don't understand that, none of us can, but that is the way that it is. They did break down what the costs were or are going to be for 2021 operational budget for the dispatch center. You can see that the personal services are the highest amount, and that is the dispatchers themselves. And it breaks all the way down. Now, understand that E911 funds do not go into this at all, because that is for equipment only. That's what the E911 funds are supposed to be for, is just for equipment. So taking this total amount of $963,737 and breaking that down into that percentages that you saw in the chart before, you can see what the sheriff's office is going to be billed for is $293,943 for next year. Now that, go back 5 to 6 years, we started out with $170,000 to $170,000 annually, and it has reached this point.
That doesn't equate to the 39% though, does it?
They say it does.
Does it?
Yeah, I know. I have a problem with this. This is the whole thing, is that the dispatch center does not belong to any local government. It belongs to the user groups. That's what it's for. And that's why we have such an issue, is that I asked the chief of police if he had a dispatch fee in his budget that would cover the $268,000 for the city of Cortez Police Department. And he said he doesn't. So how does that work? I don't know. I don't know what Mancus does, but I know that, as you'll see in the Dolores contract, as you have in the budgets before, the town of Dolores pays for the dispatch fees, okay, through the sheriff's contract. That's the way that it should be. And keep it transparent like that.
So I got a question, John. Back to the original, why they can't have a standalone audit. Because they said they're already in an audit?
That's what I was told.
Why can't they add this audit to that audit?
Well,
We asked in 2 meetings previously that be presented to us and to hire an outside firm that's not within the audit that they're currently in, because it's kind of it's convoluted, to say the least.
yeah.
But they didn't give that to us. So this is kind of an internal audit, basically, by their
Well,
finance department, or?
from what we were told is that the chief of police and the dispatch center supervisor met with the city of Cortez manager and their finance director, who had given this astronomical large number to include or to increase in the dispatch center. That whether it was 300,000 or whatever the case may be, we were told that he backed way off of that down to 18,000 for next year. And it's like, well, what is that for? That's what we bet. Why is there an increase from the city of Cortez of $18,000 for what? We don't know. I mean, you saw their budget of what they've got. What is that? We don't not getting the answers that we should yet, but we will. In this meeting, I also brought about the reality of the majority of all of the users that you see there, calls for service. A large percentage of that deals with individuals or groups that are involved with alcohol or drugs. They do. They contribute a lot to our calls of service, as well as the fire departments, the police, everybody. So why is it that maybe we should ask the city council if they would consider taking a certain percentage of that marijuana sales tax and their alcohol sales from their liquor stores tax and apply this to this dispatch center, since that is what a lot of our calls for service entail. It's a question to ask, and I think that it would be fair to look at that and see if that couldn't help in reducing some of these calls for service costs that all of the users have to pay. I don't know how far that'll go, but you know what? Got to ask the question, and we need to meet with them and find out. So that is probably the next step, and I know that everybody there agreed that maybe that's not a bad thing to do. That would be maybe something that they could certainly help with. I don't know how the town of Mancos applies or approaches their dispatch fees of $41,000 for next year, almost 42. But for us, I can only speak for the sheriff's office that a lot of our calls deal with that. And it's like, if people are making money on this, why can't they apply some of that to this to help reduce those costs? Communications is a very critical thing that we have to have. But we can't, like I've said, I've told them that I can't keep coming back here every year asking for more and more of the dispatch fee costs to be covered by the county taxpayers. That's not right. Something has to happen. There's been agreements, and historically that didn't seem to make much difference. So new ones, I don't know that they would either. That's the thing that I'm seeing, and it's like maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but we just can't keep this up. It doesn't. That's why I mentioned that. Gosh, if we could reduce some of those costs just by we have no say or control over their salaries, benefits, or any of that you have in this budget. That's the thing that's kind of concerning. None of us users have any say about how the dispatch center, which is supposed to be separate from the city of Cortez, how they come up with that and what it's for. We have no part of that budget, and we should. I just think that we should. So things will have to happen sooner rather than later, I hope, that we can change this and put the costs where they need to be and not being told what our costs are going to be. Does that make sense? So we're looking at that. We'll see what happens. And we all work together on this thing, and that's what it's all about. It's not picking a fight with anybody. It's just bringing out the obvious.
So what's the next step, and what can we do to support you in it? Because I think we all agree with you.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I think that the next step is that we approach, that the users will approach the city council. Hopefully they will, I hope that they will all come where they're in person so that you can deal with them and talk to them face to face, I think is real important instead of through Zoom meetings and stuff, but we'll see. If nothing else, if we can just start the conversation about this, and let them take a good look at what we're seeing and address some of those issues. That's a beginning. And I think that that's where it needs to come from, is communicating with each other about it. And not just with one or two people. It needs to be with everybody involved.
So we should set it up.
I think the users group is going to probably set it up, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have a date when you'll be on their
Not
agenda?
yet. No, not yet, but we'll come up with a date. We need to see where the city council is at. And I think that Mancos and Dolores also need to be involved in this.
I would agree, and also the fire protection
You know,
districts
and I
and
just think that
everybody
we all
that's
need to
using
be
it.
involved in this communications and talk about these things so that everybody can see what we're seeing. I know that this information, these documents, were passed out to every user and will be going back to their respective boards, which is why I brought this to you. You need to stay in the loop. I'm going to keep you informed with what's going on.
And I apologize, I couldn't make Thursday's meeting. I had
all
another
right.
housing authority meeting.
It's okay.
Which is because I have been at every one of these meetings.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've actually seen any numbers
Me too.
of what they're even talking about, what they're going to charge us
Yeah.
annually, which is an increase.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's happening in my world right now. So there you are. I do have the sheriff's contract from the town of Dolores. They've approved to the contract. Nothing's much has changed. I did send that to John. The only thing that there is that there is an increase of about $12,000 up to $200,000 for next year. That's just an anticipation of those additional costs that may increase. I need to make sure that it's covered and the county doesn't have to take part in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Have they agreed to that already?
oh yeah, yep, they've signed it, as you saw. Yeah, and we're good with that. They're all good with it. They're getting a service that is really a benefit to both of us. It really is. So anyway, I will need to have.
We need to have a motion then on it for approval.
Yes.
In the absence of Jim, I would move that you approve the contract.
Well, let's wait for
I
Jim
know.
to come back.
I know.
I would love to do that, but I can't. Scared him off over that big number on the communications fee.
Is that all, Sheriff? Because we can do this as soon as he gets back, if you're all through.
He's gonna need this document.
What's that?
Oh, well, you'll.
I can give it to him.
Yeah.
Do you need the original?
Yeah, I'll get it from
He's
you
here.
later after
Okay.
you file it. Yeah. Just like
Larry,
we've done
do
in
you
the
feel
past.
comfortable on making a motion for this resolution so that we can?
For their contract, yes. I have actually, so I'd move that we accept Resolution R 431 Series 2020, contract for law enforcement services between Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners, the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office, and the town of Dolores.
Second, motion is second to approve resolution number R 431 dash series 2020, a 2021 contract for law enforcement services between Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners, the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office, and the town of Dolores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I also watched your presentation on the Zoom meeting. You probably saw that I was there with the town of Dolores.
Yeah, I saw you there a little
try to
bit.
capture all of those when they have their meetings also. So I did see your presentation to them.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mr. Spratlin, do we have a way to, that these things get channeled to you for your database? This is a new contract we've just entered into. It's one we do every year.
Kim will send it to me.
Okay.
We're good.
Oh, so do we need to?
They're just signed by him.
Well, that way he can have the original and I'll have the copy.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
Okay,
I've spilled my guts to you. So.
I will be getting with you further on this, the
Yeah.
issue out on,
Thank
that
you.
we discussed this morning. but-
Yeah. Thanks.
You know, there's options on the dispatch center. Yeah, well, yeah. We could go a different direction if we had to. Okay, thank you, Sheriff. We're going to go ahead and have Matt come up with the DA's office. How are you doing, Matt? Doing well. How are you guys doing? Doing great.
Matt.
Doing well, thank you. Matt, is that mic on? There we go.
Yep.
It sure is. Kim, congratulations.
Thank you, you too.
Did you pull it off?
I did. I managed to eke it out. So, pretty happy about that. Gentlemen, what questions can I answer for y'all?
I have really no questions for you. Did you get your wall finished upstairs?
We did,
Is
and
it
thank you so
functioning
much.
properly?
And yeah, we the folks from IT came in and wired it, and then the rest of the glass got installed. I think it was last Thursday. And looks great and very functional. So thank you guys, appreciate it. As far as what's going on at the DA's office, I think Clarissa had sent you the newest order from the chief judge here in the 22nd. There will be no jury trials through the end of the year. Last time I was here, I talked to you guys about the fact that I had a jury trial going the next week. We got that started. We got that process moving along, and I was feeling pretty comfortable and confident that we were going in the right direction with that trial. And then the defendant said that he had some symptoms, and the judge ordered him to go get tested right away. Unfortunately, because the testing results take between 72 and 96 hours to come back. Ask me how I know that. And the court was uncomfortable moving forward with the trial. They declared a mistrial. So that's 4 hours of my life that I'm not getting back anytime soon. And it was a learning experience for us, getting folks into the courtroom, talking with people about their feelings about sitting through a jury trial during these times. And I thought that the response from the community was very positive. The members that were from the community that were selected to act as potential jurors in this case were frankly ready to go, ready to do their duty as a citizen. And it's unfortunate, but the court, I think, had to do what it did, even though a lot of folks were fairly confident that the defendant in this case would test negative, including myself. So, take that for what it's worth. I am getting concerned about the backlog of trials that we're going to have. I'm especially concerned given the fact that if the court declares a mistrial, rather than having what we normally have during a speedy trial period, which is 6 months to try a case. So normally when a defendant enters a plea, they say, I'm not guilty, I'd like a trial. You have 6 months to try. If instead you get to the day of trial and the judge declares a mistrial, you have 90 days to retry that case. That is a huge difference, and it's going to create, I think, a pretty substantial backlog of cases that all are going to be falling within, the January, February type of time frame. And we've only got so many warm bodies and so many courtrooms to try cases, and we're going to have to start making some tough decisions. So that's where we're at. It's unfortunate, but given the fact that we've had, I think, 50 some odd new cases this weekend, it probably is best for the community at this point that we're not holding a jury trial in which we've got a bunch of folks in the same building at the same time. So that's where we're at. Anything else?
So will these all just be plea bargain and basically handled that way? I mean,
I don't. So that's the thing.
You can't really take a backlog of 8 months or 9 months or 2 years, whatever this duration is, and ever get those done or caught up in a time frame that's actually manageable. How are we going to deal with all this stuff?
So the way that I intend to deal with these cases is to prioritize, and we're going to prioritize crimes of violence, and especially domestic violence crimes, as crimes that should move forward to trial. And if other cases that do not involve violence, do not involve allegations of domestic violence, or do not involve injury to others in some way, shape, or form, I think you're right. I think that there will be instances where we make a plea offer that potentially would not otherwise be made. Because the alternative is to get to the date of trial, tell the judge that we're ready on these 3 trials, select which trial we want to go on, and then have the court dismiss because of the time frames involved. With those cases, have the court dismiss those other 2 cases. I'd rather not see that happen. Is there a possibility that that could happen? Yes. Is that how the system is designed? Yes. What is our way around this? And our way around this is to encourage defendants to take a plea.
So what is
I become, we've had some dealings here in the past, and I become very disappointed with our system, the way it's set up and the way it's working. It just, it's not right anymore. I'll leave it at that.
Given the
It's just
specific,
not right.
given the specific challenges that we have with the pandemic, the fact that the court isn't holding trials at this point, it's a system that was not meant to or designed to take that kind of stress. The other thing you got to realize is that it's difficult for the attorneys as well, because they are invested in these cases. They want to see good outcomes for this community, and I know that my deputy DAs are just as frustrated that they're not getting to go to trial. We have a brand new deputy in our office, Cody, who's doing an excellent job, but I'm sure he would love to get some trial experience, and for the foreseeable future, till the end of the year at least, it ain't gonna happen for him.
So Eric Hogues is the court administrator, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He's over, how many courtrooms he's over? I know Dolores County is all of those courts taking this same approach? In fact, the whole state of Colorado is all of the other counties shutting their court system down as well?
The entire state of Colorado, I couldn't tell you. I know La Plata has. Also, I'm very sure that Eric Hogue is the administrator over there. John,
he
correct
is.
me if I'm
Mr.
wrong.
Hogue is, and
Yeah.
it's district by district, but it's not Mr. Hogue's decision. It's the chief judge's decision in each
Well,
district.
I'm trying to find out, though, is everybody doing it, or are we an
So
outlier?
I know some of the larger jurisdictions have done it. My guess is, as of last week, it's a small minority of jurisdictions that have canceled and said, we're not having trials until a certain date. But that might just be out of my ignorance, but I think I had heard of about 5 to 10 counties that had done that.
And this is a decision made by the chief judge?
Of each district.
And when is he up for retention?
So judges are appointed for life, and then the first time they come up is 2 years after their first appointment, and then every 6 years after that. It's highly unusual for a judge to be not retained. It never happens. Sometimes in Dolores,
It happened in Dolores County.
Dolores County it happens, but it's usually
I was about
in
to say, I
smaller
heard about one
jurisdictions
time.
where you can rally 30 people to vote against somebody, and it works in a very small voting population. But it's unusual.
Because it seems to me we're compromising either the right of the accused to a speedy trial or the right of the victim to be heard.
Both, I think. And the truth is the
Which
court
are
system-
legitimate constitutional rights for both parties.
The court system wasn't set up to handle the statutory scheme in Colorado, in my own humble opinion, prior to COVID-19. 90-something% of cases do not go to trial before this. And now this has exacerbated any of those issues that you could have complained about prior to COVID-19.
It's sort of a well-known fact that if in any particular jurisdiction the defense bar got together and set everything for trial, it would break the system.
Prior to COVID-19.
Right.
And now all that has been exacerbated.
So then, are we using the facility then for anything? I kind of went through that.
We heat it.
I mean, state judicial is obviously using it. The judges are there, and I'm going to be here in the next little bit. I'm going to be jumping on to do a docket. That docket will be, the judges will be in their chambers to handle that docket. But I mean, that's a question for you guys as to the utilization in that building, whether or not you think it's an efficient utilization thereof. I can tell you that we've got the judges there, we've got probation there. We have people that are working in that building regardless of who's coming in and out. The order that was filed by the chief judge indicates that certain individuals, especially victims in this case, that want to be present, have a right to be. That's due to the Victims' Rights Act. They certainly have every opportunity to go into that courtroom and be heard. But for the time being, unless it's absolutely necessary for an attorney to be present, the courts or a defendant, the courts are informing us that we should be appearing via WebEx.
I think that's just a decision that we'll have to make in the next coming months. I mean, we'll have to see what pans out. I mean, I don't like it at all. I think we have a very large structure, just one, that's not being utilized at all. Right now, it's not obviously your fault. Or
I
anybody's
think you
fault.
missed
It's
what
not
John said. We're filling it with hot air.
We are pretty much right now. We're cool air in the summer. So
And it's costing us a lot of money.
And by us, you mean the taxpayers
Yes,
that have
the
been forced out of their jobs.
I can tell you guys this, that the DA's office really wants to get this job done. It's just given the present situation, it is very difficult to get in and get a jury sat. And I personally understand why the chief judge made the decision he made. I'm not trying to fault him at all in this decision-making process. What I will say is that I think everybody would rather we be in court, we be able to sit a jury, this Thursday for a misdemeanor trial. But given the present circumstances, right now, I can understand why that order is in place.
Can you understand the date to where the order is lifted?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for the chief judge, but I think that given the fact that we are coming up on the holidays, that Colorado Department of Health, the CDC, a number of other organizations have said that most of the way we're getting COVID to spread is by small gatherings locally in homes and things like that. I can understand their hesitance, given that I anticipate that there's likely to be a spike after Thanksgiving and then after Christmas, because it's just human nature. Folks are going to get together. That's how humans work. And so I know that in this community, getting that message out there that this is going to be a year where Thanksgiving is going to look a little bit different, that can only help us in the long run get this court open back up quicker, which would help me out immensely. But it's a tough message because it's a message that I don't think folks want to hear. I don't think people want to hear that they can't have friends and family and 20 folks over for Thanksgiving. And certainly there's not an enforcement mechanism to say that they can't do that. I think that the message in the community, getting that message out that says this is what might be best for the community in the long run, though, and letting folks make their own decision about that. There's some utility to that. And to the extent that I know this is being broadcast and that this message reaches the community, I would tell folks that if you can keep those gatherings to a minimum, if you can have a smaller Thanksgiving, if you can call friends and family and do it that way, that would be for the best, because it sure as heck would help me do my job.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
thank you, Matt.
Let's go to the emergency manager, Jim Spratler. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning, Kim. Morning, Jack.
Good morning.
Well, I hate to keep mentioning the word COVID, but we're back on it again.
We understand.
So just to review, so I send out a situation report every Friday night. You guys get an idea of what happened during the week, kind of what's going on. Of course, that gets updated immediately on Monday morning. And then I send out this incident support plan for the entire county. This is more of a, I guess, a guidebook of what we're trying to do to help each entity in the county and what we're doing and how we're going to do some of that based on, work orders and assignments, et cetera. So I won't be going over that unless you need to. The situation, again, at one point I was happy being an emergency manager and not a COVID manager, but now I'm back to COVID managing. So, but during that time I had the ability to actually go out, learn a lot more about some fires. I got signed off on my task book. They were so thrilled that Montezuma County was being represented up there at the fires. So we did a good job, so helping out our communities up there. So our latest count, I've got a new spreadsheet I sent out yesterday in an email, and it just gives you kind of an idea of percentages. Of course, statistics are statistics. You know how that works. So, but I was trying to put together something that almost made sense. So I have two different columns now. If you were to say we have, which we do have, 449 cases in Montezuma County, then our county is pretty much 1.714% of the population has it. But if you were to take positives against the negative tests, one could assume then that percentage is 5% of the population if you were to expand that out 3 times. So it's just statistics are statistics. You can play with it however you want, but I added that column just to give an idea of where we're headed. There's a small graph in there, it just gives you a short idea of, the climb. We did open up since I last was up here. As soon as I came back, we opened up an official reactivation of our Emergency Operations Center, which will assist anybody in this, let alone any election issues that we were going to have during the election or after the election. So we're going to keep that in mind.
And it's virtual, right?
It's virtual, yes, correct. All of our meetings. We were still meeting every Wednesday, but now we've made it reactivated where the staff itself is meeting on a Monday. All of the emergency support functions and the staff of that center are meeting on Wednesdays, and then we have our official Joint Information Center where we can get all the PIOs together so we send out a consistent message, hopefully, every single week, and that they meet on Fridays. So we kind of got a routine going again like we did before. So hopefully that will help calm down some of the rumors that are going on out there, and we're trying to get everybody on the same page. So I'm excited about that, hopefully. So with that, of course, comes the PPE. And I've ordered extra, and I just got delivered a bunch yesterday, which was really nice. The state is putting together 2 of my large orders, so we're going to see some of that, hopefully. If not, I will let you know. And we've been ordering on through various sources, getting some other PPE that we're kind of thinning out on. So I want to make sure that we're ready. We're ready for any kind of something that might occur. So we can see that rise coming up. So naturally, the more PPE is going to be used. I was talking to the state, and I was hopeful that we might get some of our National Guard personnel to come and assist us again, like they did in the EOC for planning, logistics, kind of take a little burden off of me and some of the other people, and they were a great help. I was talking with a major and then DHSEM, and the feds don't quite have that funding organized yet, so they're going to look into it. So we may or may not get assistance from the National Guard right now.
Can we use CARES Act funding to pay them? I mean, can we pay them to get you more help in that?
I think we can. It'll be up to the
week.
What's that?
Maybe for a week.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't get National Guard troops cheap.
We're only talking one member.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
1 or 2
yeah,
members. You're not asking for a whole troop.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for even a squad, but it won't be cheap. I'm putting it
Yeah, it'd be
that way. You can
expensive.
do it for a week or 2, and you'll be out of CARES Act money.
And I think there might be a point where we could even hire a temporary person to assist me if we had to, outside of this, you know. And
Sure.
the CARES Act would pay for it. And plus the agreement with the feds usually is 75-25 with the state. State wasn't willing, you know, at one point they're running out of funds, so they're not willing to put up 25%. Maybe we could play that 25%, but it'd still be pretty high. But I don't even know if the feds have that funding right now. That's kind of what I'm hearing. So I'm working on that. Hospital beds, we, you know, that's a moving target. It really is. The SIT report said we had 6 beds available out of 23. Now we're back up to 9. At one point, we had 3 ICU beds that were available out of 4 that we had there. That was Friday. Today, we have 1 bed that's available. So that moves constantly. It's like the detention center. People come in, people go out, so it's just a mix. It really is. At this particular time, yeah, we have 4 in there now, so COVID patients at the hospital. We're able to, you know, we were looking at transportation of COVID patients, and, you know, that can be pretty time consuming. If you have an ambulance that transports a COVID patient, now your ambulance is down for at least an hour till they can clean it. So we were able to work with MoCo and Jennifer. We got the older bus, we put some plexiglass on it, some nice curtain in there for the driver, and EMS is willing to go ahead and maybe take that on, and that way they can utilize that bus and not have an ambulance going down, so that makes more sense. Plus, then we have a backup too. They can utilize that unit, and then we can also utilize the ambulance if we have to.
So strictly for non-emergent transport?
Yes, non-emergent, just COVID transporting, whether we go to a non-congregant shelter or we have to transport someone maybe. It depends on the EMS, but where we're going to transport that patient. So, yeah, so we're looking at those contingencies. That's moving along actually rather well. The last report, the final forecast conditions on fires with relative humidity is low, and that'll be the last probably report you'll see unless something else changes. The feds have, they send this information out, and we're pretty low. So we're doing okay. We did send in a lot of the COVID costs. We're getting reimbursed for quite a bit. Most of that is the loans. We're getting a lot of the loans out there for the businesses. So we're promoting that as well, working in our EOC with our liaison officer and working closely with the businesses to get them to come in and get some of these loans. So we're still on that recovery, economic recovery. We're not leaving that one go. So that's part of our other plan and our objectives that we're working on. And then the rest of the report is just miscellaneous odds and ends that I've been working on, trying to keep track of everything. Again, you know, I get the question, you know, Emergency Ops Center, what are you doing? What does that mean? You know, and the public needs to know that that means we're supporting everybody in the public, everybody in our county, and the entities, the big ones, and the small ones, everybody. So if we're seeing issues, economic issues, we're going to work closely with the, you know, tri-chambers and get things moving there. If we see the hospitals losing, you know, PPE, or they need help, or they need an alternate care site, we're going to work with them. So that's what we do. That's what an emergency ops center does. So we're there, basically, we're a coordinating system, and we support people. We don't tell them what to do, we just support them. Some things we may not be able to do, but we're there to assist them in anything. So it's moving along. We're getting there. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. You know, this when this spike slows down, then we can slow down a little. So that's kind of where we're headed. That's about it. Right? I mean, there's a ton of stuff, but that's the short of it. So.
Right. Any questions?
I just for the public, I think that is so important for them to understand that the Emergency Operations Center is a support function of the entire event. So
Correct.
just as you displayed that we support the hospital, we support the fire departments, we support the sheriff's office, whoever needs it, and whether every application to the best of our ability and to the resources that we have. And I think that's the biggest thing, to the resources that we have. We're in Southwest Colorado and we don't get a lot of resources, but we're outsourcing whatever we can right now at this point in time. And the other thing on this scoreboard, you know, I realize that you have more positive cases, but don't just look at the total, because a lot of those cases have dropped off. I think more focus should be on what's active, because the scoreboard has been going since March. So don't look at that scoreboard, look at what's active, and I think that's where people need to start looking at what is active, not this score, because that's only going to rise. It's obviously going to rise, but look at what's active and see what drops off, because you can't drop off anybody for 14 days, correct?
No. Right.
So
Right.
I think that you have to look at both sides of that chart and not just view one side of it, of just a positive case.
And there's no reset, right? You don't, when you
No,
start the
there's no
new year, you
reset.
don't start resetting how many COVID cases. Since we know this virus is never going away, pretty soon we're gonna have 50,000 cases.
You're going to have, it's going to
People-
continue to rise.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you have to
Well,
look at
I
what's
mean, they
active.
say eventually we're going to reach herd immunity when about 60% of the population has had it. The good news is we're at 1.5% now, so we've only got to do this about 55 more times.
Well, and nobody, yeah.
That's good news, yeah. So, yeah, and I'm with you.
We're
I
not-
think we need to focus, this is what you said, Commissioner, was, or maybe we're fighting something we can't see.
That was the
Correct.
sheriff. yeah.
It's not a fire, it's not a flood, it's not like, well, we fixed the sewer system, so now we can move on. This thing just keeps going and we can't see it. So I'm with you. I think we need to focus on how we're going to take care of the community. Don't overly focus on what we have, because the entire nation has this,
Correct.
right? They have the spikes. And they're coming up with some ideas that maybe we can use as well. So that's where I looked at all the other counties that are going through this and having the same issues, you know? I mean, we're at orange, and that means some other standards, right? But what are other counties doing about it? What are we trying to do, during the holidays? We have a lot of recommendations, but what are we going to do when it gets higher, and what are we going to do when it gets lower? That's kind of what I'm looking at.
So you mentioned that, and because you mentioned that it takes them an hour to clean the ambulance if they transport a COVID patient.
Right.
And so our sheriff was talking about the gels, the gel cells.
The cells,
Yeah.
holding
And
cells.
I was wondering, do you know how long it takes to clean the cells?
No, sir. I can't even.
It just really depends on their decon procedures.
Yeah.
Well, I had it's interesting, a constituent that actually works at a hospital and was talking about a UV bacteria killing robots. They clean these hospital rooms. And have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it just shows a UV and then this thing rolls around in the hospital and it kills all the bacteria in the room so they can clean the rooms faster to transfer,
Yep.
So really, the best way to eliminate COVID would be global warming.
But that's like a robot or a robotic little thing
Yeah,
that
kinda
moves
like one of them
around.
vacuum cleaners,
Yeah.
that runs around, but it's just UV lights and it.
Yeah, they have some sites up in Montrose when we were first doing this with the masks. You can send all the masks up and they UV them and they bring them back
Bring
and you
them
got to
back.
put your name on them. And so I think that's an option, but I don't know how many people are utilizing that. And there's got to be a special way special UV light. There's specifics behind that. I don't know what those are. But that's interesting.
Well, I know you go to the dentist, isn't that how they sterilize all of their equipment? Between patients?
I think it depends on the dentist.
Couldn't tell you.
A lot of them, most of them put them in that little UV oven or whatever they call it. All right, well, I was getting into the weeds. We appreciate
Thank you.
No.
I appreciate the
Yes.
report. I do think it's beneficial for the public to know that we do have a set report and an IEP or an ISP, whatever you call it. An incident action plan that we look at every week. We look at it weekly. We look at what's happening within our community, and we try to make the best plan and move forward. Here again, nobody's given us this blueprint. We're the authors of this in this community, and
And nobody up here thinks the virus isn't real. We know it's
No.
real. We know it affects people differently. Some people are affected horribly by it, but the virus isn't going to go away. And you've heard the message over and over and over and over and over again, how to prevent the spread. So now it's up to your personal responsibility whether you do it or not. And you'll be free to suffer or to reap the crop that you sow.
Thank you for
Yeah.
your
Right.
report.
Oh, and one other thing, we are doing, we canceled one testing event because of the weather and because we just didn't want to get our staff involved in getting too close to a virus if Anyway, we're having one tomorrow from noon to 5 at the EMS station. So that's open for the public to come.
Oh,
So
good.
we're doing that one as well tomorrow.
And that's for,
The test for COVID, and yes, just for the COVID testing, yeah. And then we're going to work on the flu vaccine. Well, that's another part of this, is working on vaccines, whether it's the flu vaccine distribution and then upcoming COVID vaccine. So we got a lot going on, yeah.
All right, thank you, Jim.
thank
Right,
you.
Thank you.
Public lands. I see we have Connie Clementson in the room. How are you doing, Connie?
Good.
Or you can sit if you prefer, whichever.
Yeah, whatever you'd like.
I don't care. I can stand. Seems like I sit all day now in front of a computer screen, right? In the virtual world that we're living in. So I didn't even know where the car keys were there because I haven't been to too many meetings. So good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Sorry
Good
Keenan's
morning.
not here. I have quite a bit to run through this morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Pull it just a little closer.
Just a little bit closer.
So that the public can hear you.
Just a little bit closer. Sorry.
You bet. Okay, yeah, that took me off guard. Good to know that you have such a good voice there, Jack.
Well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
All right.
That's why we all
Please.
have opinions.
Oh, all right, Jim. All right, I'm going on to BLM business. I wanted to go through a list of items that we've been working on or are close to accomplishing. First of all, I wanted to extend, again, a thank you to the board for working with the BLM and getting County Road identified and accessible to our public and our communities up there at the summit area. A really critical piece of BLM is now going to be accessible. So I can't tell you how much that means to both the BLM and the public. We need to get people to their public lands. Our partnership in working together through county roads and BLM roads is essential. So thanks for that. To give you an update on where we're at with the parking area, we went through the scoping and we rolled out the environmental analysis. I believe I'll be signing that decision this week and rolling that out to the public. We received about 20 comments during the process from the public, mainly from the local neighborhood and some various folks, but I feel like we've really addressed the issues that are coming about with that. We do have a wildlife area closure that we'll be implementing each year from December 1 to April 30th. That does make it more of a kind of spring, summer, fall type of trailhead. That said, the focus for this area is equestrian and foot, so hiker and horseback. Mountain bikes are not going to be in this area. There's a great other places to go with mountain biking that I'll explain to you in a few minutes on that decision. So expect this week I'll be sending a copy to the board. And again, thank you for, this is to my mind the best example of a partnership in working together to get folks where they would like to go. Painted Hand Road and Parking Area Environmental Assessment, that's over on Canyons of the Ancients. We did scoping. We received about 24 comments on that. The environmental analysis will likely be going out this week by the end of the week for a 30-day public comment period. We do want to hear from the public. We're proposing a 20-car parking area. We recognize that that's a pretty large parking area. That's the maximum that's allowed under the resource management plan. So we felt like that was a really good place to have a discussion point with the public on size and accessibility. The good news about the painted hand proposal is that we'll have a formalized welcoming parking lot, designated spots. We could have restrooms there, picnic shelters, interpretive signs, and really just a welcoming effort to the public for one of our public sites on Canyons of the Ancients. In addition to that, we'll be moving that road to strictly BLM lands. So we will have access in perpetuity because it will be on federal lands. So those are all good things I think that could come out of this proposal. Excuse me, I have really bad allergies lately. It's not COVID. Just for the record. Okay, number 3. Number 3, appreciate the work session that we scheduled with the county. I think we have that slated for December 2nd. I'll be getting with your road guys, your planner guys, and James to continue to look at the roads that access Canyons of the Ancients. So the BLM will be coming to the table with some priorities so we can have some discussion topics about how to approach those road accesses. So thanks for that. I think that's, again, just an indication of how this board works with the BLM. All right, let's see. On Yellow Jacket Flowdine, we're continuing our discussions with the State Historic Preservation Office. We will be developing a strategy and a plan to deal with monitoring as we go forward with that. We will not initiate any environmental analysis or public process until we get further along in talking with the State Historic Preservation Office. I know the county has been very involved and active in that, so please retain that role. We encourage that. All right, we will be rolling out a scoping document, getting input from the public. That will probably go out late this week or early next week for the Upper Sand Canyon parking area near the Kinder Morgan compressor station. Right now, Kinder Morgan experiences a lot of people kind of parking closer to the compression station, which can create congestion. So we're going to propose an area that is currently a well pad that they're reclaiming, and we're going to propose to convert that in cooperation with Kinder Morgan to a parking area. And I think it really is a win-win. Kinder Morgan's willing to do the work on that. It's going to be a safer place for people to park, and they can still get on the trail from that location, right off of the county road.
They have the gravel on it too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for them reclaiming, that's a good.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
a good
probably
expenditure
very-
of capital,
very
both
large.
on behalf of the taxpayers, and Kinder Morgan is able to work with us to get something that we need on behalf of the public. So that scoping will come out this week, so be looking for that. If folks aren't on our mailing list, they need to contact the BLM if they want to get on the mailing list to receive these scoping documents. Otherwise, we expect people to go to our e-planning website to find what's going on, what documents we're sending out, what scoping we're doing, and you can just Google e-planning for BLM, and those websites will come up. And then you can see any projects within the BLM that are being out there, being discussed and requesting comments on. All right, I have a lot of good news. Phil's World is done. It's totally built out, the 22 miles that we made a decision on a couple years ago. It's there and ready for people, and people have been enjoying it, and couldn't have done it without our volunteer group with Southwest Cycling Association, and also the Youth Corps folks. We spent a fair amount of time getting the Youth Corps out there on the ground and doing great work on the public lands. So it was a really amazing effort for the last couple years, and it's a great system now. So we have access off the 3 county roads, or the highway and the 2 county roads, and so it's just one of those go-to destination places that I think this county and the BLM can be quite proud of. So it's
Jeff did a very good job.
He did. He's an amazing recreation planner. He spent a large amount of time working with the bike club, laying out those trails so they're sustainable, and that was super important to us, as well as to the bike club, who helps maintain those and helps with the trailhead and all that thing. So another partnership that is so important to this community and the people that enjoy Phil's World.
How long has it been? really since? I mean, I understand that we just finalized the build-out of it, the 22 miles, but really, how long has Phil's World been there?
Phil's
decade?
World?
I
Oh,
mean-
No,
you know what,
longer
I
than a
think it's
decade.
probably been, 20 years or
20
more
years?
that Phil's World has really been there?
At least 20 years.
Yep.
And my guess is a year or two longer than that.
Yeah, John, I don't even
But really
know.
active. I mean.
Really
Yeah.
active over the
Yeah.
last 15 years, I would say. I mean, John, are you a bicycler?
I am. It didn't start getting crowded until that parking lot was built. When was that?
I don't know, that's on state land, so.
That parking lot was probably built.
6 years ago? 7 years? Maybe?
I think
don't know.
longer than that.
I
I've been
would say
here,
longer than
believe it
that.
or not, I've been here 9, and it's been there since then. So
But
I
I
would
go
say
so-
probably
So
12
at
to
least a
15 years,
decade
maybe?
It's
Yeah.
been very actively utilized on a daily basis, and it's,
I thought you was talking about how long it took for Connie and the county and to get the trails finalized where we could finally build the trails, because that took a long time.
Yeah, that was again, another endeavor that the county played a really vital role in. And so you can see a pattern here. Our partnership's critical. But we can celebrate Phil's World. It's an amazing place to ride bikes. So it's just something we all can be very proud of. And that you guys had a role in, so thanks. All right. Let's see, what else? Okay, so our travel and access plan, transportation and access plan. I've been busy over the last couple months doing briefings up the line, both to the district manager, state director, headquarters. I've gotten really good response from them. Our last step is to go through our solicitors, which is our lawyers, to get the review of those documents. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I don't want to jinx it, but we're hoping to get a decision out on that early part of December. And that will institute and formalize all the things that we propose, things like the trails at Aqueduct and the expansion of trails over in the Durango area and some road systems and designating things, allowing e-bikes and that sort of thing. So we're really excited about getting that decision out. I know the community is. We want to be able to get started on some of these new trails that are proposed. So we have a net increase of about 13 miles throughout the transportation and access planning area. So that's exciting. So we're anxious to get that rolled out and get that going now that Phil's World's good to go. We are, from the state office, they did roll out an environmental analysis on proposed lease sales for oil and gas, and that was specific to the San Juan National Forest in the Durango Bayfield area. They did extend that comment period to November 25th, and all of those comments are going to our state office. They're really heading up those oil and gas lease sales right now. So just to give you information, it does not directly impact Montezuma County, but it's certainly in your neighborhood. All right, I think that's all I have other than the really good news is, and I wanted to announce that we have a new monument manager arriving on January 4th. In addition to that, I'll let you know his name in a minute. We have 2 admin assistants that I've been busy trying to get hired, one at Canyons of the Ancients and one at Tres Rios. And their names are Nicholas Hunt will be our admin assistant and support of visitor services at Tres Rios. He's actually lives here in the Mancos area and is new to the federal government, so we're excited to have him as a new hire. We also hired Tom Adams, and he will be our administrative assistant over at Canyons of the Ancients, and he will be supporting the staff over there with both visitor services and administrative services. And he's actually a seasonal employee right now, and he'll be coming and developing his home here, so another person in our community. And finally, our monument manager, which we had a very robust list of highly qualified. It was a tough decision. We had some really good interviews, but the person coming is Ray O'Neill. He'll be arriving January 4th. Ray has a wife, Aviva, and 2 daughters. I'm going to butcher these names, Aisha and Talia, and those are 14 and 13 years old, respectively, as well as some dogs and cats and critters, oh my. They're going to be packing up and moving from Tucson, Arizona, where he is currently a National Park Service ranger. He is the chief ranger currently at Saguaro National Park, and he's held a variety of positions, including acting superintendent at Casa Grande Ruins National Monument in Coolidge, Arizona. He was the district ranger wilderness coordinator at Zion National Park and acting chief ranger of resource management and visitor protection at Bryce Canyon. So he's got a wide variety of service. He also comes with some really great common sense, which I always look for in a manager. So sorry I had to read all that, but he has a pretty good resume.
No, that's good.
Yeah, so very excited to have him come. I know the staff there is excited. I know the community is going to be very excited to welcome Ray. Our challenge will be introducing him to the community in the COVID world that we live in. So we'll try to come up with some creative ways to maybe do some Facebook posts and that sort of thing to start introducing Ray to our community. So, and with that, I think that's all I have today. Do you have any questions for me?
The only question that, or it's not really even a question, it's more of just a comment, that I agree our roles that we've played together just since I've been on this commission, obviously not as long as Commissioner Suklin or Tell, but just being able to get one more access point for our people, our public, to their lands.
Yep.
And being able to find it. The staff did a great job. You guys have been a good partner in working through this, and although it seems like it took a long time to me, I think we're successful, and hopefully by springtime we'll have a parking lot out there.
Yeah,
So-
because we'll be going into, at Summit, the winter wildlife closure, and because of our contracting process, if you hadn't realized, we don't really have a budget yet in the federal government, and that's how you do things with, we're under a continuing resolution. I believe that we're hopeful that something will get passed well in enough time to be able to get some contracts prepared to be able to start construction next spring after the winter wildlife closure.
Right, and that's what I mean.
Yep.
I realize that if we get it completed and the parking lot done next year, I won't put a
Little gold star by BLM.
It'll be successful, and I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Jim. And it was good to go out there and show the commissioners, what we needed and what we were looking for, and to have you guys really put your brains to work and all of your great staff on options that were available. So we couldn't have done that Summit Trail Head area without you, essentially.
And
So thank you.
I would just mention that I think that the reason that the county was so successful was because of the county staff. We've got great staff, and some of the things that they found and did couldn't have been accomplished with the three commissioners. It was the staff that
There you go.
really did.
And absolutely agree
It
with
really is the brains of the bunch, the people that do all the hard work for us as managers and as leaders of the community. And we do depend on our staff. And your staff has been really phenomenal to work with. Every single one of them has been very helpful, and they work really hard to help solve the combined problem that we're trying to resolve. So thumbs up to your staff.
that. Absolutely.
All righty.
Connie.
Thank you.
Connie.
Have a great
good day.
Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you, you too.
And then that will bring up the county attorney report.
So the only thing that I think is of note to report that happened last week was the Court of Appeals ruled with our judge here, with Judge Walker, and upheld his interpretation of maintenance, meaning in our MVIC case, of maintenance meaning that we need to replace culverts for MVIC. That's the Court of Appeals. We have 42 days to ask for the Supreme Court to take what's called certiorari on it and review it. The Court of Appeals, I guess, confirmed that this was a case of first impression, which means that they were essentially making new law. The Supreme Court might take it if we ask for them to. I'm leaning toward that. I'll explore that with you guys further later. And we also have some other options as well, or in addition to asking for the Supreme Court to interpret that word maintenance. That's essentially what was at issue with the case down here, and whether or not maintenance includes us replacing the culvert. or not, which is what our Judge Walker ruled, and then the Court of Appeals affirmed him. So I'll explore that further with you guys in the near future as far as where we're going with that.
All right. Anything else, John?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Jane?
I guess,
Oh, go ahead.
I guess I have a simple question, because to me, maintenance and replacement are two different things.
And you're in the construction world too.
Correct.
And
through documents
that was our
we read,
argument.
I mean, maintenance is one thing, replacement is another. So I'm not, I guess, okay.
It's not spelled out by the law, but the courts, our court and the Court of Appeals, agreed that so the statute doesn't say. The statute says that the irrigation company pays for the initial installation, and then the county maintains it.
Correct, which making sure that it's unplugged, that it's flowing, that it's maintained.
Right.
But replacement after the life cycle of a culvert, that's different. Replacement is different than maintenance. So
That's our argument.
I guess I'm confused.
That's our argument.
Okay.
That's the argument we made down here and at the Court of Appeals, is that, it doesn't say who replaces it, but maintenance should not include replacement at the end of its useful life. One thing the Court of Appeals did do in a footnote was say, we're not really taking into consideration, and it's not before us, whether or not there was some sort of implied contract that changes the analysis of our situation here. Because historically, what has happened here is MVIC and the county have shared costs to maintain, and I believe also shared costs to install. So historically, we haven't been doing how the statute defines it. And so does that change what our agreement is? And the Court of Appeals implied that yes, it does. That's not what's in front of us right now, so we're not ruling on that, but that could and would change what happens in this situation.
Well, I say go all the way.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to Natural Resource Planning and Public Lands Report with Mr. James Dietrich. Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Okay, the first thing I have on our agenda here is I've got some letters that are prepared, and these letters are voicing support for keeping the BLM main headquarters located in Grand Junction. So I have a letter to Congresswoman-elect Lauren Boebert. I've got a letter for Representative Michael Bennett, and also for Congressman Scott Tipton, and for Senator Cory Gardner. And we will also send a letter to Senator-elect John Hickenlooper. So, anyway, I've got 4 letters here, and keep all these things straight and get the right signatures on them. We'll be okay, I think.
So I've read all of the letters.
So do we,
Yeah, we
let me
did.
scroll back here.
Ask you to sign all 4 letters if it's okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure we cover everybody that way.
So I would move that we accept the letters of support to keep the BLM office in Grand Junction, and that they be distributed to Senator Gardner, Senator-elect Hickenlooper, Congressman Tipton, and Congresswoman-elect Boebert.
Motion is second to approve a letter of support from Montezuma County in keeping the BLM headquarters in Grand Junction. As stated in the letter, one of the main reasons is the closer you are to the lands, the better you get the pulse of the communities that live there and deal with the consequences of decisions made on the BLM. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll sign these while you're...
Okay, sounds good. Shaq, I'm going to go over that map if we can pull that up. Okay. This map represents the roads that I took a crack at making my best guess on which one of the historic routes correlated well with the map information that we've got. Shaq, I think if we want to zoom all the way over to the forest side, that's where I'd like to focus a little bit. And it's going to be a little bit difficult for everybody to see here, but the roads, or the routes, I should call these public right-of-ways. So the public right-of-ways that I have highlighted in yellow seem to be my best guess at which one of these routes appear to correlate the best with the historic routes that we have based on the map information available to us. It starts in 1889, and that is the probably the most relevant map. That road really kind of shows one route that kind of encompasses some of the roads that we see in yellow up here. I went chronologically. I was able to digitize a map that came in at 1912, and then followed that up with a map in 1927. You know, based on the information that we've got, you know, anything that was established prior to 1905, when the forest was created are the ones that we wanted to focus on. You know, obviously, there's the big gap between you know, the 1889 maps and you know, the 1912. And 1912 was post 1905, of course. However, taking a look at all those historic routes, we realized that some of those were up there. So I just took my best guess at which ones those are. I would note that there is one other special exception, and that is over in the Sagehand area. And some of those routes were old homestead routes. I was able to find a 1966 quad map that showed roads in that area. The theory being is that land came into the Forest Service later on as a part of the McPhee project. So from my perspective, it sort of seems like those 1966 maps were pretty relevant. And so I was able to put those on there as well. So anyway, right now, those are the roads, as I see it, that are probably likely candidates. And then also over on the Canham side, we got a very good map that came in from some of the proponents. And so I've been going over that map, and I think we've got that pretty well figured out too. So at this point, I think we're ready to kind of schedule that before the commissioners and have this map brought in, and whatever the proponents would like to do. I think they would like to, you know, have a resolution made that states that these are public right-of-ways. So, and I'll continue to work with them to you know, first of all, schedule that time, and if they need help putting together a resolution, something like that, I can help them with that also. So.
And that would be done this year?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, I would anticipate it within the next week or two.
Okay, that'd be, sounds good.
Make it by the end of the year.
You certainly want to make it by the end of the year, yeah.
That'd be great. Good job, a lot of work.
Yeah, it has been actually a lot of work.
No wonder you're back sore.
Yeah, no kidding, I tell you. Yeah, sitting doesn't help. But yeah, you know, I have researched everything I can find, and, you know, downloaded all those original township section maps, the original surveys. You can't see it on this map, but I digitized all those in so they all fit together. It'd make a great quilt, you know. But so anyway, you know, those maps are you know, they show a lot of information, but they were after something different at the time, and so a lot of them, you know, showed bits and pieces of roads. So we did our best to kind of piece it together and take our best guess, and that's I feel like, you know, best we can do at this point. Unless there's some other, you know, I'm always open to other information that's out there. You know, if we get some better maps, why, geez, we'll take them and get them on there. So. Also did want to let the commissioners know, I think Connie mentioned that we will be meeting on December 2nd, and we'll be going over some of the lingering right-of-way questions that are out there at Canham. One, for example, would be the Cannonball Mesa Road. So we'll try to identify other areas like that and try to get a list together that we can work with the BLM on that. And I feel like we did do a pretty good job with the BLM. Things moved pretty slow, but boy, once they got going, we've got some things accomplished over the last couple of years here. So things are really looking up. Let's see, I guess the last thing I've got is that we've been working with Sean Gregory on the proposal for that alternative route that goes up to Granada Mesa. And so I think we're at a point now where we would like to entertain possibly who is going to take that right-of-way or easement, if we get an easement from individual property owners, who would hold that, and then who would be willing to take on insurance requirements for that. So the concept that's been floated around is to do something very similar to what we did up at Phil's World. And so if the commissioners are open to working on that, we'd like to move forward with that and figure out, the language and how to accomplish that.
And I think with that language, it would be basically, or very relative to exactly what we did at Phil's World. So we wouldn't really be changing anything. It would just be in a different location, correct?
It's also up to whoever we're entering the agreement with, but yes, that would work.
So I think we could definitely move forward with it.
Okay.
I do too, because of the insurance requirement. If it's under the umbrella of the county, it's less burdensome than it is, say that it was the cycling association or a trail group or.
Right. Now, the town of Dolores obviously would be responsible for what's in their township, correct? You're talking from once it crosses that line up into the county.
That's my sense about that. I suppose that is something to confirm with the town. But yeah, I mean, I would say that if it's in their municipal boundary, they ought to be on that.
Correct. So, and that's the way I've understood the conversations, the way they've been talked about. So I think we move forward with it. I don't see any hiccups or hang-ups with it. It's just following under the same umbrella that we currently have at Phil's World.
Okay. I guess the last lingering question there is that if we need to do any survey work, shall we, get a price from our county surveyor and see if he'd be willing to do the survey work? And it may not require that. I don't know for sure.
At least let's get a price and see.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, we can get a cost,
So
because if we have to make the actual description on a map, then it probably is going to have to be surveyed.
So I'm not for sure, where does the city stop and the county starts?
Well, without having a map, it'd be really hard to describe
Okay,
that.
so the road isn't some sort of boundary?
No.
No.
It's about a quarter as you start up the hill outside of Dolores on
Is the water
526
tank
Road.
in the city or the
This
county?
water tank is in the city. So if you could go horizontally across there, 200-300 feet maybe?
That sounds about
Before you
right.
get to the first, where everybody pulls off on the road to make a phone call because you're going to lose service,
Yeah.
just below that a little bit.
Right.
Just
Right at that corner,
right,
essentially.
almost right at that corner, but just
But
just
down
below the corner.
the hillside a bit, yeah.
There is quite a bit in the city or township. There is. So a lot of that trail, which it really is going to serve the town of Dolores more than anybody, but it's great for the neighborhood, which is in our county and absolutely the county to access another point.
Well, and it's safer.
It's
For the pedestrians on the road.
Certainly is, yeah.
Because that's a windy little 1.5 mile stretch.
And, so we've been working closely with the road department on this too. And so hopefully the outcome will be something that is really helpful to the road department in terms of their ongoing maintenance up there too. I think some of this could include removing some of the guardrail up there. And so, of course, from the road department standpoint, I think that would be beneficial. Wouldn't be all the guardrail, but it would be a certain portion of it. So, I think there's some things here, and again, we're working really closely with Rob on this to make sure that none of this interferes with the road department operations.
So the next step then, we would say move forward, but also reach out to the city of Dolores.
Right.
And they've had it on their meetings, on their Monday night meetings. They meet the second and fourth Monday. I don't know what it is, but they've actually discussed it, and they seem to be on board also.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue to move forward on that then. Let's see, I guess that concludes everything I've got for the day. So.
You had a lot, so thank you, James.
welcome.
Anything?
Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
I think
Okay.
they're all signed.
Oh, yeah. Yep, right here. All right, we will go to the county commissioners report.
Okay, Wednesday actually went back into the EOC virtual MAC group meeting, which, like Mr. Spratland was saying earlier, you know, this is we're creating an incident action plan, or an IAP, that sits for the entire county. That's all 3 municipalities and the unincorporated part of the county, of what we need to start doing, how we're planning for everything that could happen, and what we're doing to take actions on that. Again, those are on Wednesdays. That was a pretty good meeting. Thursday I had a housing solutions board meeting, so I missed some of the other meetings that were Thursday afternoon. That the Aspero project in Durango, the 42 units that they're adding over there for affordable housing, they had a virtual groundbreaking, and that project is underway, and they hope to have it completed by the end of next year, which is a pretty good thing for some of the folks over there. Had a meeting yesterday with Mr. Powers and Mr. Black, correct?
Yes.
Discussing some issues as far as the Chamber of Commerce here in Cortez. They don't get funding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shaq, but this will be a quick synopsis of, but they necessarily don't get funding from the city of Cortez.
None
like
at all.
We give lodgers tax funding to
None.
Mancos and Dolores. They don't receive any of that type of funding. So kind of
You're talking about the city,
the Chamber of Cortez, the Cortez Chamber.
Well, boy, I would have to.
So
I don't agree with that. In the past, they have.
I don't.
It was a budget item for the city of Cortez.
Mostly they're
The city of
funded
Cortez funds Mesa Verde Country, but not the chamber,
Not the
which are
chamber.
separate.
So the chamber's funded pretty
Through the
much.
lodger's tax.
No.
No.
Mostly through
Entirely
fees.
through user fees.
for user fees. So what they're feeling right now is
Chamber
obviously if
dues.
you start cutting, if you're a business and, you know, that's a $250 cut you can make, and, you know, people are doing that. So just trying to figure out how
To fund.
to work with them to get some funding for them to keep moving forward. The tri-chambers have been doing a pretty good job.
Did
through this whole
did they
recovery
approach the
effort.
city of Cortez for?
They did.
They did, and the city of Cortez denied their request.
So,
Did they deny it because 9 million in reserves isn't enough? Or
I mean, that would be a question
wasn't-
for their financial manager and for
because that's
John
what the city of
Doherty.
Cortez has got in reserves is 9 million.
well, there again, I don't know when they were denied. This request just came to us, which I did see an email that he sent out last night. So that was a meeting yesterday. Met with the Mighty Dozen group, the Southwest Colorado Commissioners, on a Zoom meeting last night, and here again trying to figure out what the best plan of action for Southwest Colorado is moving forward, as far as testing, and how do we, what are the resources that we have in Southwest Colorado. And obviously we're not the Front Range, and our resources are much different. But then we have different challenges also.
Right.
So that was all I have. I did enjoy a weekend away at my cabin, and went out and got to do a little fishing, and it was a well-needed couple days off. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I didn't attend any meetings last week. I've been approached, though, through email and different things about the COVID virus. And one of the things that, if people out there don't know, they changed this to the color orange, so there's different colors. Were we at yellow?
We were at yellow, now
On the
we're
dial.
orange.
Yeah, and then we went to orange, and then there's a lot of talk out there in the county about what's going to be going on or not, what the county is doing, and if the county, so the county did not change the color, The colors are changed, which there's different stipulations on businesses, is changed by the state. The state actually, which I think is wrong, never even visited with the commissioners about the difference in the colors. Me personally, I'm going to tell you that there's only one color in Montezuma County, and it's called red, white, and blue. That color stands for freedom. That color stands for self-responsibility. If you are in the category of being devastated by this real virus, then you need to take that personal responsibility on your own. But those healthy people in this community, as far as this commissioner is concerned, you go about your business, and we don't care what color the governor of the state of Colorado designates to us, because there is no teeth in that, and we will use the color of red, white, and blue in this county as long as I'm a commissioner. Thank you. Now we have public comment. Is there anybody would like to comment? Okay.
Yes.
So that is a long page. We're very limited on time, so I don't know how, okay, no problem.
I've got you.
No, those are the notes on everything. you
Oh,
said.
okay. Be free.
Yeah, and
You're-
thank you very much for your comment, and I support you. I just wanted to make a comment about the emergency management, Mr. Jim Spratland's.
Oh, wait, ma'am.
Could you give your name and address, please?
Yes, Myra M. K. K-A-Y,
Okay.
225 South Elm Street, Cortez, Colorado. Mr. Splatland, in the way he was presenting his thing, it was a little confusing to me. It would be more clear if perhaps you could suggest to him that in his reports, he also not just talk about the positive cases of whatever it is that is designated as COVID, but about the deaths and the recoveries also, to get that in perspective. And then that would lead me to question, perhaps you could ask him to check the influenza cases from last October and compare them with the influenza cases of this October, and find out what that differentiation is between what they're calling COVID and what they are calling influenza. And if we had the death counts, would help me to be more clear on exactly what's going on here. That's all. Thank you.
That's a very good question. Thank you.
That count is also printed on our website, and it's updated, so you can see the whole screenshot of total cases, what's active, what's recovered, and what the the deaths are. And those screenshots are updated on our Facebook site and our website as they come in, and I believe we do those on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So they're
From your end, but I was, that wasn't clear.
okay,
On the emergency management is what I was getting at.
right.
That screenshot is in his report also.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see
Yeah,
that.
no worries.
No, so you're right, he didn't mention it. He did have it in his report, but he didn't mention it. So,
Thank you.
all right. Anything else good for the order? Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And Commissioner Candelaria.
I move we adjourn.
Second, motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.